Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and I'm out doing my afternoon Uber deliveries in order to support my family. But I came across an interesting story that I wanted to talk about right quick, and that has everything to do with the guy in charge of the national or the North American Theater Owners Association, right? Nato, not the government thing, but the theater thing. A confusing names. They should really find a way to change that, because you think, you hear NATO, you think, oh, government, geopolitics, and then you're like, no, it's theater owners. And you're like, what? That makes no sense. Why? It's same acronym. Get a different acronym. Figure it out. You're smart, right? Anyway, they mad. The Theater Owners Association is very mad at Universal Studios. In fact, they're throwing down the gauntlet at Universal Studios over the decision to release Trolls World Tour day and date in some places, right? So, well, releasing it VOD on April 10th for a $20 rental, or it might be a $20 purchase, I forget which. And then it also going into theaters, but whatever theaters are open at the time, we don't know. And they are mad at that specific action, which is really funny considering the fact that we've known that this particular type of movement is going to be coming. We've known about this for quite some time. So you have to go back real quick. You have to go back to at least 2013. And back in 20, this was really like the last time I really heard it talked about. So Warner's was toying with the idea of day and date release for The Hangover Part 3, where they were going to release it theatrically, and then they were going to also release it on video for purchase or rental that same day and see what would happen. And they opted out of doing it, which makes sense because the Hangover trilogy actually made a lot of money. So, it makes sense to release it in theaters. But also theater owners heavily push back against it because they didn't like it, because that cuts into their business, especially because The Hangover 3 was a July 2013 release. So that's still in the summer season where they make the most of their money. You can basically see here, why they would get upset. But in this case, it's a bit of an interesting kind of situation because the guy in charge, whose name I forget right now, is like Tom something, but he says that when it comes to Universal putting Invisible Man and The Hunt on VOD early, because they've already had theatrical runs before they were government mandated to shut down all gathering locations that are non-essential, then that makes sense because they've already had a theatrical run. There's nothing more they can do. These companies need to make money. Fine, they get that. But Trolls is something that's different. Well, the reason why Trolls matters over something like, let's say, The Hunt is because that's a kid movie. That's a family-friendly movie. That is a movie that a lot of people are going to want to go and see. That's a movie that a lot of kids are going to want to go and see. And given the fact that kids, at least in my state, Washington, are going to be on a self-imposed shutdown until April 24th, which is the end of next month, right? A full month from today, I think, if it's the 24th. I don't even know what day it is anymore, right? All those days in isolation, gets you kind of crazy. And that's the thing is those kids are going to want to go out and see a movie, and they're going to need a kids movie. Mulan's not going to be in theaters. Onward's already on home video. Trolls is the next big thing, which means buku bucks for theaters. And right now they're also afraid because they are asking the government for a bailout. They're asking the government for a bailout. They're asking the government to be looked after. Christopher Nolan wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post the other day about wanting them to have a bailout for movie theaters to keep the cinema alive because, he's got Tenet coming out in July, although with Wonder Woman now being delayed and effectively killing the summer movie season, or ending it completely, in my opinion. I expect Tenet to also be shuffled off to probably October or perhaps even maybe December, because we're just in where we are right now. Everything's going to get delayed or shifted. That being said, I get where the NATO's coming from. Right, I get it. I get why they're upset, but this has been an ongoing issue with Hollywood for a very, 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 very long time. This has been an ongoing issue within the movie industry for 7 years now. Over 7 years, people have been discussing the concept of day and date. The Weinstein Company did that, I believe, in 2015 or 2016 with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2, where they released it in IMAX theaters as well as being on Netflix. And I forgot to follow up on that story because I found it so interesting, but that's a factor, right? They were looking at it from that perspective to see if it worked. And since you never heard anything about it, one could only assume it didn't work as well as they wanted it to, but still they made the attempt. But we are moving more towards the digital streaming. We are moving more towards this sort of thing. And look, with this situation, this crisis right now, this pandemic right now, people are going to have that fear for a long time. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. We're in global crisis panic mode. People are going to have the fear of public spaces for a long time. Well over a year, in my opinion. While that doesn't mean that people aren't going to flock to theaters when everything reopens, they're still going to have that in the back of their head. So while they can go out and enjoy something, they can kind of hoard the entertainment like toilet paper, they'll do it. But then once that initial dopamine hit leaves, and they're not, if there's no vaccine or it's not completely wiped out yet, people are still going to have that in their minds. And this shutdown is showing us a world where we can live without movie theaters. Now, theaters are trying to flex their muscle, right? They're trying to flex it a bit in order to force Universal to change things. And they said, we're not going to forget this, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, BS, whatever, dude. It's baseless in my opinion. Because, it's all bark and no bite. There's nothing they're going to do. They're not going to turn down Universal. Not with Fast 9 on the horizon coming in 2021, and not going to be immediately followed by Jurassic World Dominion later on that summer. Both of those movies are guaranteed to cross the $1 billion mark. So no, theaters are not going to pass that up. You can whine and cry and bitch and moan all you want about Trolls World Tour, but at the end of the day, it's not going to matter. You're going to take Fast 9 and you're going to sit there and take, you're going to take Jurassic World. But I think the Trolls 2 response has more to do with Fast 9 being moved a whole year and then cutting out that billion that would have been made that heavy amount of money that would have been made in the month of April. And I think that is more detrimental to theaters here in the States than Trolls 2. But because they're not releasing Fast 9 on home video and they're doing it on Trolls 2, they're going to then, that's what they're targeting. So it's all kind of BS. It's all theatrics, like literally. And that's the way I see it. It's all bark, no bite. They're not going to sit there and go, no, we're not doing that again, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no. They're going to take the theater. They're going to take the movies. They're going to make the money because they still have a business to run. And it's stupid to argue otherwise. It's stupid, to go out there and even think that they're going to ever really, fight back against Universal. Universal is testing a new method because that new method is ultimately in the next couple of years going to be the norm, where theaters are going to have to evolve and adapt to where things are right now. Meaning, and hear me out on this one, work a deal with Netflix, you stupid stooges. Work a deal with Netflix to get the first 2 episodes of Stranger Things playing in IMAX a week before the release of the new season. So people can pay you money to go watch a show that they already pay a subscription fee for that they'll get in a week. But put that in IMAX. Why wasn't the Game of Thrones series finale? Why wasn't that a Fathom event, streaming event? Why wasn't that event a big theatrical event? Why wasn't that a thing? Right? Why don't you put these bigger shows? Why doesn't AMC work with AMC? I don't think they're the same company, but AMC TV versus AMC theaters to bring The Walking Dead, to theaters before it comes to television, right? Why not do that? Why not do that? Because that is where you're going to be able to find money in exhibitions that are going to be considered different than your normal theatrical releases. Theaters have to evolve. Instead of just pushing for the luxury items, which is what you're doing, and I don't mind it, that's not going to be enough in the end to get me off my couch all the time. But if you give me something worth watching, that's going to be unique and a special experience, then I'm going to go see something like that. Do more special events. That is how you get people to the theater, right? That's how you get people there. But whining and crying about Trolls 2 is the stupidest thing I've heard. It's just nonsense. It doesn't do anything. It's just, you're trying to flex your muscle in order to be whatever. And it's just dumb as hell. It's stupid as hell. Because at the end of the day, you're in the exact same position you were. Not having a movie, not having theaters open, not making any money. Why not focus on actually trying to make more money? Focus on actually trying to build the community. People used to go to the theaters because it was like a communal thing. Nowadays, it just feels corporate. Movies just feel corporate. There's not a lot of sense of camaraderie there. There's not a lot of sense of, I mean, there's a reason why the MCU does so well, because it created that community, that bonding through those movies of an overarching story, like television. Why not take that concept and move that into theaters and to see if it works? We did it with the serials back in the day. You wanted to see what happens to Rin Tin Tin. You got to go see every new movie that comes out that summer in order to get that 5-minute short. Anyway, your thoughts, your opinions, let me know. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. Thank you for watching. And please consider supporting the channel. Patreon in the video description, or channel membership, because right now it's all messed up and we all need your help. We all need to work together. So if you like the content, consider supporting. Have yourself a great day, guys, and peace out.